All right, it is Sunday. Tomorrow, back to work, but not for a full week for me because this week, of course, we go to the Arnold Classic, the Expo, all that this week. Um, I want to talk a little bit really quickly about some prejudice that sometimes might get by us, all of us. And I'm not only talking to people that apply this discrimination, but also the people that receive this discrimination on the receiving end, and also who may just believe or feel self-conscious that they're being viewed in this sort of negative way. And that would be, and there's a lot of talk now about what they call fat acceptance. And again, like always, it's one of these things that they just keep coming up with these different names for things that didn't have names before. So now there's this fat acceptance thing, and I guess that's supposed to be that when people are fat, then it's okay, and you leave them alone about it, and you just accept it. Well, it seems like common sense to me that even though we're engaged, besides with all the outreach stuff that we do, even though that we're engaged with all the fitness in different ways, whatever it is that you do, if you lift weights like I do, primarily a bodybuilding interest, or if you're a power lifter, or if you're a martial artist, or if you're a boxer, or judo, jiu-jitsu, whatever your thing is. It can be anything. It can be tennis, it can be running, it can be skiing, whatever it is that keeps you active and you stay fit doing it, bicycling, whatever your thing is, CrossFit, whatever your thing is. That's what you enjoy doing. That's your, way to unwind and relieve stress, and it adds to your quality of life. So that's good all the way around. Good for you mentally, good for you physically. But just because a person may not have the same physical appearance as you, or as your friends, or people that you hang around, or that you train with, I don't look at people at their physical appearance, their bodies, conditioning of their body, and feel as if I can apply any type of stigma to the person based on what they look like. It's not that important. It's not that important. It's not even, it's not even on the list of what's important. The only aspect of it that even should matter is the from a perspective of when you're considering your health. You want to stay healthy, you want to stay alive, you want to take care of yourself. And a lot of what we do, the various degrees to which we go, how far we go, it can be considered obsessive, compulsive, and an addiction of sorts. And it is not necessarily healthy, and it would not necessarily be healthy for everybody. It's different strokes for different folks. Now, for me, it's all good stuff. It always has been. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. It's a compulsion. It's an obsession. It's for my life, for all these decades and years and every other thing, that whatever it is that's driven me to pursue these things one after the other, these physical, engagements like this, to obtain a reasonably high degree of development or level at these things, be it fighting, or be it, the bodybuilding now in the past several decades. That's something up here. That's something that I defer down that avenue, take a turn and go down this avenue, rather than let it run its natural course. And if it didn't have this release, it would go in another direction, and it could be something really bad. Well, everybody doesn't need that. Everybody doesn't need that. It's the first thing to remember. Everybody doesn't need it. Yeah, it's always going to be better if everybody would take care of themselves and try to live a little longer, a little more, with a little better health, a little better quality of life. If it improves all these aspects to your living condition, then it's a win. It's good. It's awesome. It's great. I recommend it to people. They don't have to take it as far as I go or as far as you may go or whatever else. In moderation, it's probably very good for everybody to a degree, some kind of physical, training, engagement, passion. But it's not everybody's. And just because it's not, like if I see somebody and the society at large would consider this person fat, all right? Not like we consider fat. I mean, I'm fat most of the time, by what we consider fat. But from what society's perspective is as far as fat, when you see somebody that's in, they're in that shape, which is, I'm not gonna lie to you, in some regard I find it sad, but the majority of America now, so, but when you're looking at other adults, the qualities that I look for in someone have nothing to do with their physical appearance. Not really. I mean, yeah, there's certain things. You care about hygiene, all that stuff. Brush your teeth, wash yourself, all this personal grooming and hygiene thing. That's important. Down that ladder is your physical conditioning and all that. It should only be important to you and the people that you love, people that love you because they want you to stick around a while. So as much as it improves cardiovascular performance and blood flow and lowers your cholesterol, and as much as all this through diet and nutrition you can accomplish, that's all really good and something everyone should consider. But when I meet somebody, let me give you a perfect example. There was a guy I worked with. I'm not going to give you his name. I'm going to give you his name. That ain't going to tell you anything. His name was Paul. And he had that he was kind of the chubby body type, with the belly on him. And he kind of was very kid-like at heart in his personality. And it could be irritating sometimes working around this guy. He not only irritated me, he irritated everybody. Because he had that, what I may consider childish mentality sometimes. A little bit of passive aggressiveness, though he was an extremely mellow guy. He's the last guy I wanted to get into a fight. He had no problem, running his mouth. And a little bit of what people might say he's kind of bitchy. Like with all the complaining and the trivialities and stuff like that he, just bitching about just basic things, the radio's not on the station he prefers. So, it's just on and you're working. Who has time to care about it a whole lot? It's just on. Well, if it was a particular radio show came on for an hour every day at lunchtime and it was like hair metal, like 80s metal for an hour, if you're not, I don't even know what time it is. A lot of times I just work and I don't really take breaks. I'm eating all day, but it's to and from my toolbox, and I don't really necessarily, I don't leave all day long. I don't really take time to break, so I lose track of time pretty much, somewhat. If I'm really engaged and busy, I'm into what I'm doing. So I'm not thinking, oh, it's noon, it's time for put this on the radio if we want to hear it. I don't care what's on the radio. It's just background, it's just like background music. It's a soundtrack, that's all. I'm trying to do what I have to do, on the job. But he's watching the clock and he knows it's 12 o'clock. And if no one changes the radio station, he's not aggressive enough to come over and change the radio station, as if anybody cares. We really do not care. But he wouldn't do that. But instead what he would do was, if it was 12:30, halfway over now, maybe it was for an hour from 12 to 1, he would walk by you in passing, go to the restroom, whatever, and mumble beneath his breath so you could hear it, but not say directly straight to you, but so you could hear it by design. He would say like, 12:30, I'll never get to listen to what I want to listen to. My station's only on for an hour. I don't even get to, where nobody said you can't hear your station and nobody's watching the clock. Turn it on to you're a grown man. Come over and change the radio dial. Everybody's listening to the same radio. Just go ahead and change the dial. Who gives a shit? You know what I'm saying? That passive aggressiveness kind of, so that kind of, very irritating to be around. Irritating when you're used to being around grown men and adults carry themselves, conduct themselves in a certain way that's irritating and kind of a little childlike. And, not in very good conditioning, et cetera, et cetera. But if someone were to ask me my opinion of him, that's not what comes to mind first. What first comes to mind is the outstanding relationship he had with his son, and how the most important thing in his world was his family and his son. And even though his son was like 20, he still lived at home, but the point is, the dad and the son would do a lot of things with the dad. They would go to concerts together. They went hunting together. They went fishing together. They went cut wood together. They went and did anything, whatever they did. The son preferred the company of his dad. He enjoyed being with him. They loved each other. They were very close. That's admirable. That's admirable. Now, to me, the guy could have all these other little faults, but his commitments, his obligations, like to his son and to his family, he was an awesome family man and just an incredible dad. So at that point, with what was going on in his life and his world, what was the most important thing he had going on? What was the most critical thing he had to do right, that he needed to be correct about? Raising his son, providing for his family, right? Filling that in, doing that correctly. And he did. He did it better than correctly. He did it better than most people do it. So you could nitpick him apart. You could pick him apart and say he's pudgy, he's chubby, spongy, soft, passive aggressive, kind of childish like, irritating. Yeah, but that's not the first thing that jumps out at you. If I stop to look back and think about him, somebody asked me about him, first thing that jumped out at me is what an awesome father he was and how much I have to respect and admire that. That's what I admire. I don't see somebody, my arms are between 21 and 22. I don't see somebody, with, 23-inch arms. There's not a hell of a lot of those around, but I don't see somebody with 23-inch arms and say, man, I really admire that. I don't admire that. I don't give two shits about that. You know what I'm saying? Now, if I see somebody and they're an incredible dad, or they have an incredible relationship with their partner because they've been there, they've been supportive, they've been together, they've had a real true partnership for many, many, many years, and it hasn't waned or faded, and it's still very strong, and they're both committed, and they're both very much in love with each other, I admire that. So I think that the most important thing can't be, this, curling a weight. Can't be, this. Can't be this. It can't be. If this is the most important thing to you, then you really need to think what life are you creating for yourself? It can be important. It can be a passion. It can be what keeps you sane. But, so when we talk about something like I hear people talk about fat acceptance, and some people say, oh, I don't accept that, and you shouldn't either, and all right, I hear that, but to me it just sounds like background noise, because it's not even worth discussing, because it's not even important. What's important is what kind of individual, what kind of human being lives in that body. Now beyond that, sure, your health is important, sure, all that, very important. But you know what, if you can't fit it in your schedule, but you're an awesome parent, and you're an awesome partner to your spouse or your better half, and you do all these things correctly, and you work hard, and that's where all your investment is emotionally and everything else. Your heart is there. Because you don't make enough time for yourself that you can get back and forth to a gym or whatever right now, I can't fault anybody for that, man. I can't fault anybody for that. For me, this keeps me out in free society without doing anything horrible. You understand? That's my relief valve, is working out. Really. It's a passion and I love it and all that, but it's really my release valve. I need it, but not everybody needs it in those regards like that. And just because other people don't feel that way, So I don't know, this talk about fat acceptance, it's nonsense. Who cares? Be you, be healthy, so you can be there to continue doing the things you enjoy with your family, so you don't have to leave them early if there's anything you can do about it. Sometimes the most healthiest people that you think are out there, they drop dead just out of the clear blue. But if there's anything you can do to make your quality of life improved by improving your health, maintaining your health, it's just like insurance, then that's what you should do. Of course you should do it. But are you a better person for it? That's only a subjective thing. That's in you. Are you better for it? You tell me. Is it better for you emotionally? Is it better for you mentally? For me, it is. But for the next person, not necessarily. My child's fully grown with their own family, kids, all that stuff. And if I could have kept my child as my child for the rest of my life, I would have done that. As far as just being a child and just being frozen in that time span, that was the best time of my life and the most valid thing I've done with my life. The most important job I ever had or ever will have. And it's all that really mattered. So from my perspective, there's all these qualifiers and quantifications and things that why this is okay for me, good for me. All I'm saying is, don't feel bad or down on yourself, all right? If you're not looking like this, who gives a shit? Who cares? Does it make you less? Hell no. Hell no. Maybe you're a better dad than I ever was. You know, maybe you're a better partner than I ever was. You know what? Those things are more credible. Those things are more valid. So, that's all I got to say. Just my 2 cents and my opinion on it. Feel free to share your opinion and how you feel on it in the comments section below. Thanks. Have a great day.